The red sun of Zarian 9 burned low in the sky. The planet looked empty, but it was hiding death behind every rock. 30 human soldiers were sent here on a mission Operation Holdline. Their task was simple: protect the outpost from enemy, alien raiders. But the mission was not going as planned. Now, they were not soldiers. They were survivors. Captain Reed Darrow, the team leader, stood at the edge of the shattered base. His armor was scratched, his face was tired. He hadn't slept. In 3 days, his men were hungry. Medical supplies were almost gone. The last medbot had been destroyed in an ambush. 2 soldiers were dying in the back room, and Reed couldn't do anything about it. This mission had become a graveyard. Every morning, the same message came from command: hold position, reinforcements are coming. But no one came. Each night, the enemy attacked strange spider-like aliens with glowing eyes and poison darts. They didn't speak. They didn't take prisoners. They only killed. Soldiers were breaking. Fear was eating them from the inside. One of them, Private Juno, kept whispering at night, "We're already dead. They just haven't buried us yet." Then, on day 18, something strange happened. A ship appeared in the sky. Small, sleek, silver blue, not human-made. The radar picked it up, but the soldiers didn't believe it. Enemies didn't arrive like this. This ship landed peacefully, about 500 meters from the base. Guns were raised. Triggers were ready. And then the door opened. 3 figures stepped out. Tall, graceful, not human, not enemy. They wore long white uniforms with glowing blue marks. Their skin shimmered in the sunlight. Their eyes were large, glowing softly with violet light, and they carried medical packs, not weapons. Captain Reed stared in disbelief. "Who the hell are they?" one soldier whispered. The lead alien stepped forward and spoke in a soft, clear voice. "We are here to heal." The soldiers didn't know how to respond. They had never seen aliens like these. Not in battle, not in life. These women were not soldiers. They were nurses, sent by the Galactic Peace Council, a secret order that monitored wars and tried to limit death. They had chosen this mission, to walk into war, to help humans. Reed lowered his weapon. His heart didn't trust them yet, but his instincts told him this might be their only chance. The alien nurses entered the base. One went directly to the wounded. She placed her hands over the soldier's chest, and a soft light passed through her fingers. The bleeding stopped. The soldier breathed again. Another nurse examined the food rations and created nutrient-rich supplements from a strange cube on her belt. Within minutes, she had made enough to feed everyone. The third nurse walked straight to Captain Reed. "You have not slept. Your mind is breaking. You cannot lead in this state." Reed opened his mouth to speak, but the nurse placed a glowing hand on his head. In seconds, calm returned. His headache vanished. His fear faded. He could think again. The soldiers didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They were too shocked. "Why would they help us?" one soldier asked. What did they want in return? But no one had an answer. Later that night, the base lights flickered. Something was moving in the dark reaches again. The enemy had returned. But this time, the nurses stood by the soldiers. They weren't trained for combat, but they knew pressure points, toxins, and alien biology. One nurse neutralized 3 attackers with a flash of her palm. Another shielded a human soldier with a strange energy field. Together, humans and aliens pushed the raiders back. That night, something changed in the air. Hope returned. Captain Reed watched the stars from the rooftop, next to one of the nurses. "Why did you come?" he asked. The nurse smiled softly. Her eyes reflected the stars, because no one else would. The morning after the battle was strangely quiet. The air on Zarian 9 always felt heavy, but now, it felt different. Like something was watching from under the ground. The human soldiers were still trying to understand the nurses. They looked like angels, but none of them had names or files in the system. Just codenames: Vera, Zine, and Luma. Private Cole didn't trust them. "Aliens don't do anything for free," he whispered to Juno. "This smells like a trap." Juno didn't answer. She was watching Zine, how the alien gently treated a wounded soldier's broken leg, humming softly in a language no translator could decode. Inside the base, Reed met with the 3 nurses. "We need to know why you're really here," he said, his tone calm but firm. "Who sent you?" Vera, the eldest looking of the 3, stood tall. "We were not ordered. We volunteered." That made Reed pause. He'd never heard of alien medics volunteering to help humans, not after the last interplanetary war. Then Zine added something strange. "There is something beneath this planet's surface. It is not native. It is not dead. Reed frowned. What do you mean? Luma slowly walked to the wall, placed a hand on it, and it glowed. A hologram appeared. Tunnels deep, long, spiraling under the base. Buried chambers. Sealed doors. Moving heat signatures. You humans built your outpost above a grave, Vera said softly, and something inside it is waking up. That same evening, Private Cole went missing during patrol. They found his communicator crushed and covered in a strange black ooze. The nurses looked at it and instantly tensed. This is not the Raiders, Zine whispered. This is something older. Something left behind before even our kind reached the stars. Reed didn't believe in ghost stories, but something deep inside told him this was real. The nurses warned him, do not go into the sand caves. The ground remembers, it hungers. But Reed had no choice. A soldier was missing, and something dangerous was down there. He took a team of 5, including Zine, into the tunnels at night. The caves were not natural. The walls were smooth, metal-like, pulsing softly. Old alien tech, but still active. Reed's HUD began to glitch. Their radios turned to static. One soldier screamed when he touched the wall. His hand burned instantly. Then they found Cole. He was alive, but barely. His body was shaking, his skin pale, and black veins ran up his neck. Zine moved quickly, placing her hands on his chest. He has been marked, she said. Something tried to rewrite him. Reed was stunned. Rewrite? Yes, Zine replied. This place was once a biological war lab, not made by us, or your kind. A race long dead created weapons from living beings. Cole was touched by one of them. They carried him out barely. That night, Reed made his decision. They had to dig up the truth. Captain Reed stood in silence, staring at the sealed hatch they found beneath the sand. It was ancient, half-buried, and humming quietly like a machine breathing in its sleep. None of his engineers could open it. The tech was older than anything known. Even the Galactic Council didn't have records of this kind of structure. But Luma, the youngest of the 3 alien nurses, stood beside it, without fear. Her violet eyes stared into the symbols etched on the door. This chamber is not just a lab, she whispered. It's a prison. Reed's jaw tightened. Prisoned for what? She didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand on the center symbol. The symbols lit up, and a pulse of energy spread through the cave like a heartbeat. The door began to open. The soldiers raised their rifles, tense and alert. Something was coming. But inside, there was only ... silence. The chamber was massive, round, metallic, and full of tall glass tubes filled with blue liquid. Some were shattered. Some still glowed. Floating inside them were things. Creatures. Half-formed bodies. Not human. Not alien. Hybrids. Failed experiments. Private Juno backed away, eyes wide. What the hell is this place? Zine stepped forward slowly, scanning one of the tubes. Her voice was grave. This was a weapon factory. Biological hosts were fused with energy cores. They wanted to create soldiers that could never die. Reed looked around, and what happened? Luma answered softly. They succeeded. Suddenly, one of the tubes hissed. The lights flickered. A black liquid began to leak from the wall behind them. Zine's face went pale. It's not dead. A shriek filled the chamber. Sound like metal, tearing and bone cracking at the same time. Something was moving behind the far walls. Then Reed's crackled. Captain Base under attack. But it's not the Raiders. These things are ... changing. Up above, the soldiers at the surface were screaming. Creatures had emerged of the old experiments. They moved like mist, their limbs twisting into shapes that weren't natural. Bullets slowed them, but didn't stop them. The nurses moved fast. Vera rushed to a wounded man and placed a glowing seal over his bleeding chest. Do not let them touch your skin, she warned. They copy what they infect. Reed and his team rushed back from the underground chamber, sealing the hatch behind them with explosives. But it was too late. The infection had already started. One soldier began to tremble. His skin turned dark. His voice changed. It wasn't just death, it was assimilation. They're trying to become us, Juno whispered, her hands shaking. They want to replace us. And worst of all, the nurses revealed something terrifying. These creatures were designed to mimic the strongest species. Now they've seen humans. They'll evolve. Captain Reed stared into the night sky. Hope had just arrived 2 days ago, and now it was slipping away again. Unless they could find the source of the infection, this war would not just kill the 30 human soldiers. It would spread across galaxies. The infection was spreading and it was smart. What started as shadows in the tunnels was now inside the base. The creatures didn't just kill anymore. They studied, they copied, they whispered. One soldier swore he heard his own voice calling. From the dark, Reed tightened the perimeter. Guards rotated every 2 hours. No one left the base alone. No one slept alone. But even with every measure in place, Private Hale collapsed during breakfast. His blood turned black. His eyes turned glassy. The nurses rushed in, but this time, they stepped back. "It's too late," Vera said coldly. "He is already changing." Captain Reed's voice was firm. "Then save him. You did it before." Zine shook her head. "We cannot help a body that is rewriting itself. If we interfere, we risk triggering a mutation that spreads faster." But Luma, the youngest and quietest of the nurses, didn't speak. She only stared at Helge, twitching, then looked at her own hands. That night, when everyone was asleep, Luma broke protocol. She entered the quarantine zone alone. She placed her hands over Private Hale's chest, ignoring the alarms flashing on her medpack. Strange energy passed between them. His body screamed. He jolted, eyes glowing for a second, and then it stopped. Breath returned. Color returned. Hale was alive, but so was something else. The next morning, Vera and Zine found out what Luma had done. "You violated the code," Zine hissed. "You risked exposure." Luma stayed silent. Vera stepped forward. "What were you thinking?" Luma looked at the humans around her, weak, scared, brave. Then she spoke. "I was thinking like them." But it wasn't just her action that caused problems. It was what happened after. Private Hale was alive, but now, he could hear the voices. "The Black Room is calling," he said quietly. "What Black Room?" Reed asked. Hale pointed to the east side of the outpost, where no structure had ever been seen. "There's a door beneath the sand. It knows my name." The nurses froze. Zine's voice trembled for the first time. "No one should know about that room. Not unless ... the hive is inside him." Luma stepped forward. "He's not infected. He's connected." Hale stood up, steady but strange. "I can lead you there. But once we go, we can't come back the same." Captain Reed had a choice. Let a possibly infected soldier guide them deeper into madness, or stay behind, wait for help that might never come, and risk the infection reaching Earth. He looked at Luma. "You saved him. If this goes wrong, it's on you." She nodded. "I'll protect them." And so, Reed, Hale, Luma, and 3 soldiers prepared to leave the base, toward a place that shouldn't exist, toward the Black Room. Behind them, Vera whispered to Zine, "She thinks like a human now. That makes her dangerous." They walked for hours through the endless sandstorm, guided only by Private Hale's strange instinct. His mind, touched by the infection, felt drawn to something buried deep beneath the planet's skin. Something old. Something waiting. Lou walked beside him. She said nothing, but her fingers never left the glowing device on her belt of failsafe. If Hale lost control, she would have to make a decision no nurse had made before. Captain Reed followed with his team close behind, weapons ready. Then suddenly, the wind stopped. The ground ahead pulsed like a heartbeat. They had arrived. A massive metal door, hidden under a thin layer of sand, stretched across the canyon floor. No lights, no console, just a single glowing symbol. Luma stepped forward. "This symbol is not from any known race," she whispered. "It's a hybrid code. Tech built by something that studied both humans and aliens." Private Hale walked to it like a man in a dream. He placed his hand on the center dot. The door opened, and the darkness inside swallowed them. The chamber was cold. Not just physically, but spiritually. The Black Room was alive, but empty. Its walls were lined with floating holograms of every major species in the galaxy, including humans. Captain Reed stared at the display. Some showed human DNA, spliced with alien parasites. Others showed simulations of entire planets falling in days. "Is this a war archive?" one soldier asked. "No," Luma said slowly. "This is a design chamber. It was building something." They moved deeper until they reached a central core, pulsing, breathing, and whispering. That's when Hale dropped to his knees. "It's talking," he gasped. "It wants to be born." Reed raised his rifle. "What the hell does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, the core flared. Images filled the air, flashes of battlefields, dying stars, and then, Earth on fire. The infection was never just biological. It was a blueprint. The original creators of this place had tried to build the perfect organism by mixing the strongest traits of every species. But when they failed, They locked the project here and vanished. Now the code had adapted again this time through Hale, and it wanted a host. Suddenly, alarms screamed from Luma's belt. Vera's voice crackled through. Luma, the infection has mutated. 2 soldiers at base just transformed without contact. It's spreading mentally now, emotionally, like a signal. Reed turned to Luma. Is it Hale? Is he the source? Luma hesitated and said nothing. Private Hale looked up at her, pain in his eyes. If it is me, end it now. Reed raised his weapon. Luma stepped between them. No, you're protecting him. Reed shouted. Even if it means risking Earth. Luma's voice cracked. I have felt his thoughts, his fear, his will to fight. That is not infection. That is humanity. For a moment, no one moved. Then the black room began to hum louder. Something was waking up deep below the floor. A choice had to be made. Destroy the room, and possibly save the galaxy, or try to understand it, and risk it evolving beyond control. Captain, Reed looked at Luma. Make the call. The black room had gone silent, not dead listening. Captain Reed stood frozen, his rifle pointed at Private Hale. Hale didn't blink. Luma stood between them, shielding him with her glowing hands. Her body trembled not from fear, but from a decision that broke every law she was sworn to follow. Vera's voice returned on the come. Luma, extract now. That soldier is compromised. Your emotional bond has clouded your judgment. Luma whispered, I won't kill someone who is still fighting for himself. That moment cracked the balance. Reed didn't lower his weapon. Hale didn't move. The black room waited. Then Zine arrived. She'd followed them through the sand without a word. Her white robes were dusty, her eyes sharp, but something in her expression had changed. You all want to protect the humans, she said softly, but they were never the mission. Reed turned toward her, confused. What are you talking about? Zine stepped forward slowly. We were not sent to help humans. We were sent to study the infection. Everyone went still. Zine continued, her voice calm cold. The Council knew Zarian Neen held something dangerous. They needed access, but humans had already built a base over it. So they used us nurses to get close, to gain your trust. Captain, Reed's heart dropped. You lied to us. Zine nodded once. And we were going to leave after the study, until Luma broke protocol. Luma turned to her, pain in her voice. You knew it was sentient, and you said nothing, because it changes faster when it connects emotionally, Zine said, looking directly at Hale. And now it's inside him. Suddenly, the floor below Hale lit up. A voice not human, not alien echoed in all their minds. I am memory. I am blueprint. I am the next form. The black room had awakened. And it had chosen Hale as its seed. But it didn't control him yet. He fell to the ground, clutching his head. It's offering me something. Knowledge, power, control over life and death. Reed raised his rifle again, but this time Luma stood aside. You'll have to decide, Captain, she said quietly. But no, this he hasn't accepted it. Not yet. You still have time. Reed turned to Zine. And what does the Council want now? Zine replied flatly. Quarantine protocol. Full sterilization. Everyone dies. Suddenly, Hale screamed. His eyes glowed. He wasn't in control anymore. Luma rushed forward and injected something into his neck. His body dropped. Reed shouted, Is he dead? No, Luma said. But I stopped the link for now. We only have minutes before it reconnects. Reed stared at her, then at Zeen. Everything had changed. Trust was broken. Time was running out. And back at the base, strange shadows had started appearing on the walls. The infection was no longer just in Hale. It had learned how to spread through fear. The night sky over Zarian 9 turned black and naturally black. Not clouds, not smoke. A signal. The black room had activated a transmission tower, buried deep in the planet. The infection was no longer hiding. It was calling others. Above. Strange shapes moved in orbit dormant. War satellites began to blink. Creatures from the old lab were waking up across the surface. And at the outpost, the remaining 30 human soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, tired, wounded, but not broken. Captain Reed stood at the front. His voice was hoarse, but steady. This isn't just about us anymore. This is about Earth. About every colony out there. If this thing gets off-world, we're done. He turned to Luma. You said the signal comes from the black room's core. She nodded. It must be destroyed from inside. But it's not just metal anymore. It's alive. Reed looked around at his men. Then we kill it. The way humans do best together. The plan was insane. Half the squad would hold the base, fighting off the twisted infected that had started crawling out from the sand. The other half would escort Reed, Luma, Hale, and Juno back into the Black Room this time, not to study, but to end it. Hale, now partially connected to the core, could still hear its whispers. "It's scared," he said. "It didn't expect resistance. It expected surrender." Luma smiled softly. "That's because it doesn't understand humans." The final battle was chaos. Outside, soldiers held the line with everything they had. Explosions lit the sky. Screams echoed through the dust. Alien creatures warped by the infection clawed through the metal walls. Inside the Black Room, the infection tried to protect itself. Walls shifted. Floors melted. Illusions of loved ones and lost comrades appeared, trying to confuse them. But Hale pushed through it, guided by Luma's voice and Reed's orders. He reached the core. It opened for him. Inside was a mirror, not of glass, but of genetic memory. It showed Hale as a perfect creature, a fusion of every powerful species in the galaxy. But Hale looked at it and stepped back. "No," he said. "I don't want to be perfect. I want to be human." And with that, he placed the explosive charge. The core screamed. The infection lashed out shattering lights, pulling at their minds. Then, a flash, a shockwave. Silence. They awoke outside the ruins. The base was broken. Many had fallen. But the sky was blue again. The signal was gone. The infection had been destroyed because one flawed, damaged human chose to reject perfection. Only 12 soldiers survived. Captain Reed stood over the wreckage, holding Luma's hand. She was wounded, but alive. Zine and Vera had vanished during the battle. Some believed they left. Others believed the Black Room took them. No one knew for sure. But one thing was certain. 3 alien nurses came to help 30 soldiers. And in the end, they became more than allies. They became legend.